This fight reminds me of that Metro PCS commercial where the kid goes, Mom, we want Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman. And the mom goes, well, we've got Vicente Luque and Michael Chiesa at home. And ultimately, we've got the silent assassin taking on Maverick. And I can't wait for this fight because for Vicente Luque, he is on a heater of a run. And it used to be a heater of a run against guys that you'd never heard of before. And then he loses to Wonder Boy. Now it's against guys that, well, you've heard of before. And one of those guys was the guy that he fought before in Nico Price. And that was a fun fight. And then his last time out, it was a knock him out, drag him out round against Tyron Woodley where, hey, Tyron, you represent us well against that Jake Paul guy. But he looked amazing in that fight. So usually it was you beat the hell out of Tyron Woodley like Colby Covington did and you get another title shot. For Luque, it was you beat him and now you get Michael. And for Michael's on a run. You look at the 5-on-in for both of these guys. It's 4-1 for Chiesa. It was a loss to Anthony Pettis. Then he beat Condit. Then he beat Sanchez. Then he beat... Dos Anjos, and then he beat Magny. And his last time out, you probably didn't even watch the fight when it was on because it was on a Wednesday during the day. It was a main event of a weird card, but Michael Chiesa just went full Chiesa, and Neil Magny couldn't go Neil Magny. And I say that because Neil Magny has a very specific style to him. Michael Chiesa does
he's like
as
Liam
well.
Neeson and Taken. He has a very specific set of skills.
And for Chiesa, he's going to hunt you down, take you down, and stay on top of you. And for Vicente Luque, it's, I don't know, he's kind of like Chris Pontius. He's party boy. He's everywhere and nowhere. He does everything and nothing. But he does everything. For Vicente Luque, he's one of the most fun fighters to watch. For Michael Chiesa, he makes it boring until he makes it fun with that submission. I think this is a neat clash of styles. What are you thinking here?
This could be a phenomenal fight. I really have high hopes for it because in Michael Chiesa, he was an interesting fighter at 155, but you knew that at a certain point, the weight cut was taking its toll on him. And then in the Pettis fight, of course, he misses weight, gets rocked, then gets submitted. Not a great look for him. Makes his move up to 170, and he looks massive at 170 pounds. It's the wild thing about Michael Chiesa. He is kind of like one of those Thiago Santoses where it's like, okay, you're at this division and you're still big. It's really nice to see. It's a great example of a guy who was killing himself to make one weight class because he believed that, oh, I need to be bigger to win fights. And then he moved up to 170, and yes, he's still a big fighter, but I feel like it's just more of a confidence in his own skill set now, where it's okay, I don't need to be the bigger fighter to get results. I can just rely on my wrestling and my jiu-jitsu to get those results. And I know when you look at his level of competition at 170, it's a little hit or miss. Like Diego Sanchez wasn't the same Diego Sanchez by the time Michael Chiesa fought him, but his last two fights against RDA and Neil Magny, he did exactly what he had to get the wins against the opponents that he fought. And I know you'd say, oh, well, Matt, everybody does that in every win. Not really. Like Michael Chiesa had a game plan and followed it to a T against RDA. And RDA is a very dangerous fighter at 170. I understand he struggles with wrestlers, but Michael Chiesa isn't that traditional, like, 9-time collegiate Division I All-American. He really is I'm going to go for a body lock. I'm going to really use my frame. I'm going to drag you to the ground, bring you into deep waters. And I thought RDA would be able to defend the takedowns of Michael Chiesa, but he completely proved me wrong, and he looked phenomenal in that fight. The Neil Magny fight was a weird one, though, because Michael Chiesa's striking is wonky, and that's really the best way to say it. And if you can expose him anywheres, it would be on the feet in his striking.
And I think his striking coming into this one, it's going to get a little bit better. And the reason being is Michael Chiesa, he's done all the work with the UFC. He's been on the panel. He's been everywhere. And as a result, he's had to be in Vegas a lot. So he's training at a Syndicate MMA, getting ready for this one, training with the Stricklands of the world, the Platnikovs of the world, so on and so forth. There's a lot of guys at 170 and at 185 that you're going to get great reps in. I think that's going to help him, especially in a fight like this.
Without a doubt. The only weird thing with Michael Chiesa is, go back and watch this fight against Jorge Masvidal. I know it's young in both guys' UFC careers, but it's a really weird fight. Michael Chiesa drops Jorge Masvidal on the feet. I know, it's kind of a weird thing. And Jorge Masvidal submits Michael Chiesa with a head and arm choke off of his back. It's a really weird performance from both guys, but when you look at Michael Chiesa's striking, it is kind of stiff. He is one of those fighters who uses his striking to set up his takedowns. Michael Chiesa knows that, okay, I'm not going to go out there and outstrike Vicente Luque. If Michael Chiesa goes out there working behind the jab, he's going to get knocked out in 30 seconds, and I'm confident in that and in the time that I predict. The thing is that Michael Chiesa doesn't give his opponents distance to really land their power shots, and that's the interesting thing. People don't like it when I say it, but it really applies to this fight. Michael Chiesa kind of has to make it boring, because if you try to have a fun fight with Vicente Luque, you're not going to beat him.
Look at Brian Barberena.
Look at Brian Barberena, and Brian Barberena is not the same fighter that he used to be.
Look at Matt's Brian Barberena highlight from last week.
I mean, Brian Barberena, again, is not the same fighter he used to be, which is what I said in that. But when you look at Vicente Luque, when he gets into brawls, he's a technical brawler. Like, people look at Luque and assume he just throws hooks and has a good chin, and it's okay. If I land, I win. If you land, you win. He's far more technical than that. He has a beautiful calf kick on the inside and the outside of the leg, and he really uses his kicks well to set up his strikes. The other thing that I do have to bring up, because it was the way Masvidal choked out Michael Chiesa, Vicente Luque is a good but not great grappler. If you are going to beat him, you are going to out-wrestle him, hold him down. That's how Leon Edwards beat him. Yeah, Leon Edwards fought Vicente Luque, and he had to out-wrestle him to beat him. Michael Chiesa, though, on the feet, I don't think he can absorb the power of Luque. And if he does get into one of those head and arm chokes or a Darce choke from Luque, that's how Luque beat Tyron Woodley. That's how he beat Nico Price this first time around. That's probably Vicente Luque's best submission. So Michael Chiesa does find himself, okay, my front leg's starting to get chopped down, kind of like Neil Magny against Santiago Ponzinibbio. I'm reaching a little bit for my takedowns now. I really do think Vicente Luque can knock out anybody in this division, including the champion. I understand it's a stretch, but still, he has that kind of power in this division, and I do feel like Michael Chiesa is just hittable enough that against a guy like Luque, one of those shots is going to get through. It will be interesting because if Chiesa can get a takedown early on in this fight, hold Luque down and sap him of some of that power in that first round, then maybe we do see a more competitive fight in that second and third. And I guess if he took him down easy in the first round, he probably will in the second. But I do think Luque is that unique combination of a power threat on the feet along with great durability, great cardio, and he's going to really develop submission game himself.
Luque's losses in the UFC. The first fight that he had was against Mike Graves, the end of The Ultimate Fighter Season 21. For Chiesa, he won The Ultimate Fighter Season 15. So, 3 fights. You lose to Graves, you lose to Edwards, you lose to Wonderboy. For Michael Chiesa, he's 11-4 in the UFC. Luque, I might not have mentioned it, 13 wins in the UFC. The losses. Jorge Masvidal, Joe Lozon, Kevin Lee, and Anthony Pettis. Big names for both guys out of their losses. And even Mike Graves, but he's still doing it on the regional scene.
Mike Graves is at home, though, like silent assassin. He ain't nothing compared to me.
Vicente Luque open a -160 favorite in this fight. He's a -125 right now. For Chiesa, +140. He's a +103. I bet you end up with par odds in this one. The Tapology votes, 970 of them right now. 65% Luque, 66% by knockout. For the 35% that have Chiesa, 67% by decision, 24% by submission. Again, the blueprint's there, just like Leon Edwards did it. For Vicente Luque, the blueprint's there, just like Masvidal did it, so on and so forth. I like Vicente Luque in this fight an awful lot. Would I be surprised if Chiesa won? No. Because again, look at the odds and look at his fighting style and look at what he did against Neil Magny the last time out. Neil Magny's got decent takedown defense and offensive takedowns, and Michael Chiesa controlled him. So Chiesa could very well do it against Luque. I just don't see it happening. I like the power, I like the volume, and I like the staying power of Vicente Luque in fights as well.
The difference between Magny and Luque is that Magny can't make you pay for your mistakes on the feet like Luque can. Luque ate a clean overhand right from Tyron Woodley to the back of his head. That's the worst place to get hit. It messes up your equilibrium. It can actually kill you if you get hit in the back of the head.
That's why it's illegal.
Exactly. Vicente Luque eats it, wobbles a little bit, and then proceeds to put a beat down on Tyron Woodley like you've never seen. Like, Luque is one of those guys who can stay calm even when he's hurt. And when he does get into those firefights, again, there's a certain level of calmness that he does bring into the cage. He's not a fighter who fights emotionally like a Cody Garbrandt, for instance, where if you hit him, it's like, ugh, now I gotta get that back. He does get into brawls, but again, that's more just because that's what his game is. I like the power of Luque on the feet, and I do really like the leg kicks. Make sure that's something you watch out for, because if he is chopping down that front leg of Michael Chiesa and starting to hurt some of that movement of Chiesa, especially the forward pressure, then Chiesa is eventually going to be a sitting duck for some of those overhands of Luque.
Matt, both of us going with Brazil's Vicente Luque to get the win. Let us know down below in the comments section who you're going with, as well as who you got in the main and co-main. Munhoz taking on Aldo, Gane taking on Lewis. You're not going to want to miss that. So keep locked in with Fighting Picks, as we always say. Let's get into it.